The night was quiet. The city outside was filled with neon lights and the low hum of flying cars, but inside his small apartment, everything was still. The young man sat on his old chair, scrolling through job ads on a cracked screen. He was broke. He was tired. Life had been the same for months and nothing exciting ever happened. Then there was a knock. At first he thought it was a mistake. No one visited him at this hour. The knock came again, louder, sharper, as if someone was sure he was inside. He walked slowly to the door, half nervous, half curious. When he opened it, he froze. A tall figure stood in the hallway. Her skin shimmered, faintly, like starlight trapped under glass. Her eyes glowed a soft silver, deep and unreadable. She was not human. She looked at him calmly, and spoke in perfect English, though her voice had a strange echo. "You are the one I need," she said. "B." Man blinked. "Excuse me?" Without waiting for permission, she stepped inside his apartment. She moved with grace, her long cloak brushing against the floor. She studied his room, his empty table, his broken chair, and then turned her silver eyes on him. "I will pay you," she said, "but first you must agree to my request." He shut the door quickly, his heart pounding. "What? What request?" The alien woman looked straight into his eyes. "I need you to pretend to be my husband." For a moment the man thought he had misheard. His mouth opened, then closed again. "Your husband? You're serious?" She reached into a small metallic case at her side. With a simple flick, it opened, and inside was a pile of glowing currency chips. More money than he had ever seen, enough to change his life forever. "All this, only if you agree," she said. His hands itched to touch the money, but his mind was spinning. Why him? Why here? And why would an alien woman need a human husband? He cleared his throat. "Why me? I don't even know you." "You do not need to know me," she replied. Her voice was calm but heavy with command. "You only need to play the role. Attend meetings. Stand by my side. Act as if you belong." The man laughed nervously. "That's crazy. They'll know I'm lying." Her silver eyes sharpened. "No, they will not. Humans are rare here. Many of them have only heard of your kind. They will not question too much. And if you follow my lead, they will believe." He swallowed. The thought of walking among aliens, pretending to be married, was insane. But the money kept shining in front of him. His empty fridge, his unpaid rent, his hopeless life. This could change everything. Still, he hesitated. What happens if I say no? The alien woman stepped closer. Her presence was overwhelming, like standing near a storm. She lowered her voice almost a whisper. "Then you will never see this chance again, and you may also regret turning me away." He felt a chill run through his spine. Something in her tone was not just warning. It was truth. She wasn't threatening him, but it felt like fate was pressing down on his shoulders. Finally, he took a deep breath. "Fine. I'll do it. I'll pretend." The woman's expression softened. Just a little. She nodded once. "Good. But remember this." Her silver eyes grew brighter as she leaned closer. "Do not ask too many questions. Some truths are not safe for humans to know." The man's chest tightened. Her words sounded less like advice and more like a rule for survival. He nodded slowly. "All right. No questions." She closed the metallic case and handed it to him. The weight of the money nearly made his knees weak. He had never held so much wealth in his life. "You will come with me tomorrow," she said. "Be ready. Wear something clean." Then, just as suddenly as she arrived, she turned and walked to the door. Before leaving, she paused and looked back at him. "If you play your part well, you will live a comfortable life. If you fail," she let the silence finish the sentence. The door closed behind her and the apartment was quiet again. The man stood frozen, the case of glowing money in his hands. His heart was racing, his mind burning with questions. Who was she? Why did she choose him? What danger was waiting for him tomorrow? He stared at the door she had just walked through. For the first time in years, his life was no longer boring. For the first time, he felt fear and excitement mixing together like fire in his chest. Whatever was coming, he knew one thing. Nothing would ever be the same again. The next evening arrived faster than the man expected. He had barely slept. His thoughts kept circling the same questions. Who is she? Why me? What if I fail? The glowing money case sat on his table like a silent reminder. He had already spent half the night touching it, just to make sure it was real. Now he stood in front of the mirror, pulling at his only clean shirt. It wasn't perfect, but it would have to do. He wasn't a rich man, and he never imagined needing to impress aliens. His stomach twisted with fear and excitement. At exactly 8 o'clock, the door knocked again. He opened it to find her standing, there tall and radiant as before. The alien woman's silver eyes scanned him quickly, and a small nod followed. Acceptable, she said. Without another word, she turned and gestured for him to follow. The journey. They walked through the glowing city streets. Flying cars roared overhead, while neon signs flickered in strange languages. He stayed close. To her, his heart thumping. The alien woman walked with grace, never looking nervous, never hesitating. Finally, they arrived at a massive building, its surface glowing like liquid metal. Guards stood outside, their faces hidden under masks. The woman whispered to him as they approached. From this moment, you are my husband. Speak little. Smile when needed. Do not panic. He swallowed hard. And if I do panic? Her silver eyes flicked to him. Then you will not leave alive. His throat tightened. He forced himself to nod. Entering the hall inside, the building opened into a vast hall filled with aliens of every shape. Some were tall with glowing skin like hers, others had sharp ridges along their faces, and a few floated instead of walking. Their voices blended into a strange hum, a mix of whispers and echoes. The alien woman held his hand firmly, pulling him forward. Stay close, she murmured. Heads turned, dozens of glowing eyes fixed on him. He felt like prey surrounded by hunters. Every step made his legs heavier, but the woman walked as if nothing was wrong. Finally, she stopped before a group of elders. They were taller than the rest, with markings glowing faintly across their faces. One of them leaned forward, eyes narrowing at the man. This is your husband? The elder asked. The alien woman smiled softly. Yes, this is him. The man forced a small nod, though his hands were sweaty. He tried to stand tall, but he felt their gazes burning through him. The questions begin. One elder tilted his head. Strange. I have never seen a human so close. Tell me, outsider, how did you and she meet? The man's mouth went dry. His mind scrambled. He hadn't been given a story. But before he could speak, the alien woman answered smoothly. Our meeting was fate, she said. He saved me when I was in danger. It was not planned. It was destiny. The elders hummed softly, exchanging glances. The man stayed silent, his heart racing. Another elder leaned forward. And do you love her? The man froze. His mind screamed for an answer. He looked at the alien woman, who gave him the smallest nod, almost invisible. Yes, he said quickly. I do. The words felt strange, but he forced a smile. The hall grew quiet. Then one elder gave a small laugh, deep and sharp. Humans, always so quick to speak of love. The man's chest tightened. Was that good or bad? He couldn't tell. The whispering shadows. As the questioning ended, the alien woman led him deeper into the hall. The crowd followed them with curious eyes. He felt the weight of every stare, every whisper. At one point, he caught sight of two figures in the corner. They whispered in a language he didn't understand, but their eyes were fixed on him. Cold suspicion. He leaned closer to the woman. They don't believe me, he whispered. Of course not, she replied softly. That is why you must make them believe. Her voice was calm, but her grip on his hand was tight, almost desperate. The first test later in the evening, a ritual began. A glowing circle lit up in the middle of the hall. The elders called the couple forward. The alien woman whispered quickly, "This is the first test. Do as I do. Do not hesitate." The man's stomach dropped. He had no idea what was about to happen. The elders chanted, and the circle flared brighter. The woman stepped inside and raised her hand. The man copied her, trying to hide his shaking. A beam of light scanned them both, humming like a living thing. He felt heat on his skin, as if the circle was trying to see into his very soul. His chest burned with fear. What if it revealed the truth? The woman's voice cut through the air. "We are bound, husband and wife." The man forced the words out after her. "We are bound, husband and wife." The circle pulsed once, then faded. The hall filled with silence. Finally, one elder nodded. "It is accepted." The man nearly collapsed with relief. He had survived. The warning as they left the hall, his knees weak, the alien woman leaned close and whispered, "You did well. But remember, this was only the first test. The next ones will not be so easy." The man shivered. He realized something terrifying. He hadn't just agreed to pretend. He had stepped into a game of life and death. The man returned to his apartment that night with shaking legs and a dry throat. He had survived the first test, but his body felt like it had run a marathon. His shirt was wet with sweat, and his mind kept replaying the glowing circle, the elders, sharp eyes, and the way the beam of light had almost burned into his soul. He dropped onto his bed without changing clothes. The metallic case of money sat on the table, glowing faintly, a reminder of what he had chosen. But no amount of money could erase the fear crawling through his chest. For hours he lay awake, thinking, "Why does she need me? What is she hiding? From her people? Why does she look so calm even when danger is so close?" Finally, exhaustion pulled him into sleep. The midnight voice. Somewhere in the night, a sound woke him, a soft murmur, like someone speaking through a wall. His eyes opened slowly and he realized it wasn't a dream. The sound was coming from the next room, her room. Quietly, he slipped out of bed and crept closer. The alien woman's voice was low but sharp, filled with tension. He pressed his ear to the thin wall. "They are watching me," she whispered. "The council suspects. If they discover the truth, they will kill us both." His heart froze. "Kill us both?" He pressed harder to hear more, but her words grew softer, almost like a chant. Then silence. He backed away quickly, his pulse racing. She had said the truth. But what truth? And why would it mean death for him too? Morning confrontation at sunrise. He found her sitting at the table, calm as ever. She was drinking something dark from a glass that shimmered faintly. Her silver eyes looked at him as if she already knew he had listened. "You heard me?" she said simply. The man's mouth went dry. I couldn't help it. What did you mean? What truth?" She set the glass down and studied him. For a moment, he thought she would scold him, maybe even threaten him. Instead, she gave a small smile. "You ask too many questions. I warned you, remember?" He clenched his fists. "If my life is at risk, I deserve to know." Her eyes softened, but her voice stayed calm. "Not yet. Some things must remain hidden until the right time. If you know too much now, you will not survive." The words chilled him. He wanted to push further, but the weight of her tone stopped him. Shadows of doubt. That day, he couldn't stop thinking about her words. He followed her again to another gathering, but this time his mind wasn't only on survival. He watched her more closely. Her movements, her careful smiles, the way she answered questions before he could speak. She was protecting him. That much was clear. But why protect a stranger? Why risk her life for a man she had paid to play a role? At one point, he saw her exchange looks with an elder, a silent battle passing between their eyes. The elder's face twisted with suspicion, But she never flinched. She guided the man through every moment, making him look stronger than he felt. But behind her calm mask, he noticed something else: fear, the slip of truth. That night, when they returned, he tried again. "Listen," he said firmly. "I'm risking my life too. You can't keep me blind forever. If we're really in this together, I need to know what's going on." For the first time, her calm mask cracked. She leaned against the wall, closing her eyes. The silence stretched. Finally, she whispered, "They want me gone. The council. My family has power, influence, secrets they want to control, but I will not surrender. That is why I need you." The man frowned. "Me? I'm nobody." Her silver eyes opened, sharp and glowing. "Exactly. You are nobody. They cannot predict you. A human husband is something they cannot explain, something that makes them hesitate. That is why you are valuable." His chest tightened. He wasn't chosen because he was special. He was chosen because he was unpredictable. A pawn, the weight of fear. He wanted to walk away, to throw the money back at her and run. But deep inside, he knew he couldn't. He had already stepped too far into her world. "What happens if they find out the truth?" he asked quietly. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Then you will die before I do." The words hit him like a hammer. His stomach twisted. For a moment, he almost shouted at her, almost demanded she let him go. But then he saw something in her eyes. Regret. She didn't want this either. A silent decision. That night, he lay awake again, staring at the ceiling. His fear was heavy, but something else stirred inside him. Curiosity. Who exactly was she? What power did she hold? And why did she look at him sometimes, as if he was more than just a tool? He remembered the way she had stood against the elders, calm and unshaken. He remembered the whisper in the night, "If they discover the truth, they will kill us both." He realized something important. Whatever truth she was hiding, he was already part of it, and now, whether he liked it or not, his survival depended on playing the role perfectly, until he could uncover her secret himself. The man closed his eyes, his heart pounding with both fear and determination. The money no longer mattered. The game he had entered was bigger than wealth. Somewhere in the silence of the night, he made a promise to himself. "If she won't tell me the truth, then I'll find it on my own." But deep down, he didn't know if the truth would save him or destroy him. The following days moved like shadows across his mind. Every morning he woke up with a knot in his stomach. Every evening he walked beside her into alien halls filled with eyes that watched him like hunters waiting for prey. He tried to stay calm. He smiled when she told him to smile. He stayed silent when she pressed his hand as a warning. But inside, his nerves burned like fire. He was an actor in a play he didn't understand, and the stage was full of enemies. The elders stare on. The third night, the tension grew sharper. The hall was even more crowded, glowing with strange lanterns that pulsed like living creatures. He walked beside her, trying to keep his shoulders straight, but he felt every gaze stabbing into his back. Then he saw him, the elder with the marked face, taller than the others, with lines of light running down his skin like scars of fire. The elder's eyes locked onto him, unblinking, piercing. The man's breath caught. Something about that stare felt different, heavier, as if the elder could see through his skin, through his lies, into his beating heart. The elder stepped forward, slowly. The hall grew quiet. "So," the elder said in a deep, heavy voice, "this is the human husband." The alien woman's grip on his hand tightened. "Yes," she said calmly. "My chosen." The elder's eyes narrowed. "Chosen? Humans do not belong here. They are weak. Tell me, human, what makes you worthy of her?" The man's mouth went dry. He opened it, but no words came out. His mind screamed for something to say, but his voice was trapped. Then, before he could speak, the alien woman answered for him. "He is worthy because he does not fear what others fear. He walks among us without bowing. That is his strength." The elder's stare did not break. Slowly, his lips curled into a thin smile. "We shall see." the silent warning as. They left the hall later that night. The man finally spoke in a low, tense voice. He knows. That elder. He knows I don't belong. The alien woman didn't slow her steps. He suspects. That is not the same as knowing. He was looking through me. The man hissed. I could feel it. He'll expose me. Her silver eyes flashed as she turned to him. Then don't give him a reason. Hold steady. If you falter, you will die, and I cannot save you. The words stabbed deep. She wasn't being cruel. She was telling the truth. And somehow, that truth was more terrifying than any threat. The cracks in the roll. The next day, he walked with her through the alien market. Strange creatures sold glowing fruits, humming stones, and weapons that bent light. He should have been amazed, but his eyes kept darting, scanning for the elders' spies. He noticed whispers behind their backs. Aliens paused to watch him, curiosity in their eyes, but also doubt. The story of a human husband was spreading fast, and doubt, he realized, was more dangerous than hatred. When they returned to the apartment, he couldn't hold his tongue anymore. You keep saying I'm safe if I play my role, but the cracks are already showing. They're not fools. How long before someone asks me something you can't answer for me? The alien woman was silent for a long moment. Then she said softly, That is why I told you not to ask questions. The less you know, the easier it is to lie. But if you wish to survive, you must start learning more. Quietly, carefully. Her words were like a door opening, an invitation, but also a trap. The glimpse of humanity. That night he saw her differently. She was not only a cold, silver-eyed figure who used him as a shield. She looked tired. She sat by the window, staring at the alien city glowing under the stars, her shoulders heavy. For the first time, he dared to ask gently, Do you ever regret this? Living like this, pretending, lying, fighting your own people? Her eyes softened, and for a heartbeat, she almost looked human. Every day, she whispered. But regret changes nothing. Survival does. He felt a pang of something unexpected, pity, maybe even respect. She was trapped too, in a cage of power and enemies. And somehow, he was the key she had chosen. The Elder's test. The next gathering came sooner than he wanted. This time, the elder with the burning mark spoke again, his voice sharp. If you are truly her husband, the elder said, then you must prove it. Answer me this. What is her birthmark? A husband should know. The man froze. His blood turned to ice. His mind raced. He had never seen her birthmark. He didn't even know if she had one. The hall went silent. Dozens of glowing eyes watched him. He opened his mouth, but no words came. Then in a flash, the alien woman laughed lightly, slipping her arm around him. Elders, she said with charm. Surely you know humans do not share such secrets openly. Do you expect me to display every private detail before strangers? The hall filled with low murmurs. The elder's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing more. The man exhaled slowly, his heart racing. Once again, she had saved him. But he knew this couldn't last forever. Rising storm as they walked home, his legs shook with leftover fear. That's it, he whispered. He'll keep pushing. One day I won't be able to answer, and then it's over. The alien woman's expression was unreadable, but her voice was low, almost sad. Yes, that day will come, unless you are ready before it arrives. The man stopped in his tracks. Ready? For what? She looked at him with eyes that seemed older than stars. For the truth, and the truth is more dangerous than the lie. Her words sent a shiver down his spine. The tension around them was no longer just suspicion. It was war, waiting to break open. The man's heart hadn't stopped pounding since the elder's question about the birthmark. Each gathering felt like a noose tightening around his neck. Each night felt heavier than the last. He could pretend to smile. He could hold her hand, but he knew one slip would end him. By the fifth night, the weight became unbearable. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. The glowing money case on his table no longer gave comfort. It looked like a coffin now, a box of gold that had chained him to danger. That evening, when the alien woman returned from speaking with one of her contacts, she found him sitting in the dark. His eyes were hard, his fists clenched. "I'm done," he said. She stopped at the door. "Done?" He rose from the chair, his voice trembling with anger. "I've been walking blind into a pit, pretending to be your husband while half your world tries to expose me. And you keep secrets from me. You let me risk my life without even telling me why." Her silver eyes glowed faintly in the dark. For a long time she said nothing. Then she walked closer, her cloak whispering. "Against the floor, you want the truth?" she asked softly. "Yes," he snapped. "I deserve it. If I'm going to die, I want to know why." The moment of silence. She stood over him, tall and calm, but her eyes held something different now, a shadow of sorrow. She turned away, moving to the window, staring at the alien city glowing in the distance. For the first time, her voice lost its steel. "The truth," she whispered, "is that you were never supposed to be part of this. I chose you because you were no one, because a human husband would confuse the council and make them hesitate. But there is more." He leaned forward, every nerve tense. "They are after me," she continued. "The council. My family holds something they want. Ancient power, locked in bloodlines. If I marry one of them, if I surrender, they gain control. If I resist, they destroy me." Her voice trembled now, almost breaking. "But with you, an outsider, a human, they are forced to pause. They cannot predict you. They cannot read you. That is why I needed you." The man's chest felt heavy. "So I'm not your husband. I'm your shield." She turned, meeting his eyes. At first, yes. The silence between them grew thick. He felt anger boiling, but also something else. The way she looked at him now wasn't the same as before. It wasn't cold calculation. It was something fragile. The unspoken bond. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Why didn't you just tell me from the start? Why let me think I was only acting?" Her lips curved in the faintest, saddest smile. "Because if I had told you, you would have run. And I could not let you run. Not when both our lives depend on this illusion." The man shook his head. "You used me." Her eyes glistened faintly. "I paid you, but I also began to trust you." The words cut through his anger. Trust. In this dangerous alien world, she was surrounded by enemies. Maybe he was the only one who stood beside her willingly, even if he was forced into it. The choice for a long time. They stood in silence. Finally, the man exhaled slowly. "So what now? Do I keep pretending until they kill me?" Her gaze hardened again. "No. Now you must decide. You can walk away with your money. Leave this place and I will face them alone. Or you can stay. Stay and fight with me. Not as an actor, not as a pawn, but as a partner." The word partner hung in the air like a fragile bridge between them. His stomach twisted. Walking away sounded safe. He could take the money, vanish back into his small human life, and never look at her glowing eyes again. But something inside him rebelled. Safe meant empty. Safe meant cowardice. And deep down, he knew, if he left her now, he wouldn't just regret it. He would never forgive himself. He looked at her, really looked. And for the first time, he saw not just the alien who had dragged him into danger. He saw the weight she carried, the loneliness in her silver eyes, the quiet strength holding her upright against a world that wanted her crushed. "I'll stay," he said. His voice was steady, even though his heart raced. Her reaction, for the briefest second, her mask broke. Relief flickered across her face, followed by something warmer, something almost human. She nodded slowly. Then from this moment, she said. You are no longer pretending. You are my husband. The words sent a chill through him. They weren't part of the act anymore. They were binding themselves to something real. But before he could reply, a sharp sound broke the moment. A knock at the door, loud, demanding. Both of them froze. Her silver eyes turned cold again. It begins, she whispered. The cliff of truth. The man's pulse hammered in his ears. Whoever was outside, it wasn't a friend. His choice to stay had already thrown him into fire. The alien woman reached for a hidden blade at her side, the glow of its edge reflecting in her eyes. Stay behind me. Whatever happens, do not speak. The knocking grew louder, shaking the walls. The man swallowed hard. He had asked for the truth. Now he had it. But he also knew. The truth was only the beginning of the nightmare. The heavy knocking rattled the small apartment. Each strike echoed like thunder, shaking the man's chest. He glanced at the alien woman who stood tall and calm, though her silver eyes burned with sharp light. Do not speak, she whispered again. Then the door slid open. 3 figures stepped inside. Their cloaks were black, their faces hidden by masks of bone. They moved like shadows, their eyes glowing faint red through the slits. They didn't greet, didn't ask permission. They simply entered as if the place already belonged to them. The leader's voice was low, filled with contempt. So, the rumors are true. A human in our city, and not just anywhere, beside her. The man froze where he stood, his heart hammering. The alien woman didn't move an inch. You have no right to enter my home uninvited. The leader gave a dark laugh. Rights? You speak of rights when you bring a stranger into sacred halls, when you insult our council with this lie? His red eyes turned to the man, scanning him like a predator. He reeks of weakness, a parasite. The man clenched his fists but remembered her warning. Stay silent. The threat. The leader stepped closer. Tell me, human, do you even know who she is? Or has she kept you blind like a pet? The man's lips parted. But before a sound escaped, the alien woman stepped in front of him. Her voice, sharp as a blade. He knows enough. And if you think to test him, you test me as well. The room grew tense. The 2 masked figures behind the leader shifted uneasily, but the leader only smiled. So protective, he sneered. You always were stubborn. But this charade will not last. The elders already whisper, one slip, one mistake, and both of you will be ashes. The man felt sweat trickle down his back. The threat wasn't empty. These weren't just messengers, they were executioners in waiting, the hidden blade. Suddenly the leader moved. Faster than the human eye could follow, a blade of red energy slid from his hand, aimed at the man's chest. The alien woman reacted instantly. Her own blade snapped to life, glowing silver white, and the 2 weapons clashed with a sound like thunder. Sparks of light sprayed across the room, burning tiny holes in the walls. The man stumbled back, his heart in his throat. He had seen fights before, but nothing like this. Their movements were blurs, their strikes shaking the air itself. The masked followers circled, but none dared to interfere. This was not a simple attack. It was a duel, a challenge of will and strength. The man's fear. The man crouched behind the table, his breathing fast. He wanted to run to escape the chaos, but his legs refused. He couldn't leave her, not now. Every strike of her blade was fierce, every block precise. But he could see it. The struggle. She was strong, yes, but the leader was older, heavier, relentless, and if she lost, he was dead. His fists shook. Do something, his mind screamed. Anything. But what could a human do against warriors like these? A desperate trick. The leader swung hard, forcing her back. His red blade pressed against hers, pushing closer, inch by inch. His voice was a growl. Admit it. This human is nothing but your shield. Without him, your lies collapse. Her teeth clenched. Better a shield than a slave to your counsel. The man's eyes darted around the room. Then he saw it, the metallic case of money, still on the table. Without thinking, he grabbed it, lifted it high, and hurled it straight at the leader's head. The case struck hard, glowing chips scattering across the floor like sparks. The leader flinched, his red blade faltering for a split second. It was enough. The alien woman twisted, her silver blade slicing through his weapon. Sparks exploded. With a sudden strike, she sent him crashing back into the wall. The escape. The masked followers rushed forward, but she raised her blade, silver light flashing. Her voice thundered. "Come closer, and you die with him." For a moment, they hesitated. Then with quick, sharp movements, they pulled their leader to his feet. His mask was cracked, his red eyes furious. "This isn't over," he spat. "The council will know. The next test will be your last." With that, they vanished into the night, leaving the room scarred with burn marks and glowing chips scattered across the floor. Aftermath. The silence that followed was deafening. The man's chest heaved, his hands trembling. He looked at the case of money, now broken open, worthless in its pieces. She deactivated her blade, her silver eyes fixed on him. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she stepped closer, her voice low, but steady. "You should not have interfered." His throat tightened. "If I hadn't, he would have killed you." She studied him, her face unreadable. Then slowly she nodded. "Perhaps, or perhaps you would have died for nothing. Either way, and you showed courage." The words surprised him, not because they were kind, but because they sounded almost like respect. The realization, he sank onto the bed, running his hands over his. "Forturan, they won't stop, you heard him. Next time it won't be 3, it'll be the whole council." She sat across from him, her voice soft but sharp. "Yes, that is why we must prepare. Tonight was only a taste. The storm is coming." His chest tightened. He wanted to deny it, to pretend he could still walk away. But deep inside, he knew the truth. He had chosen to stay. And now, there was no turning back. The deadly game had begun, and the next move would decide everything. The apartment was silent after the battle. Burn marks scarred the walls, shattered chips littered the floor, and the air still carried the smell of burned metal. The man sat on the edge of his bed, hands trembling, mind racing. He had thought agreeing to her deal was madness. He had thought pretending to be her husband was dangerous. But now, after seeing blades clash and death enter their room, he realized something far worse. This was war, and he was in the center of it. The alien woman stood by the window, silver, eyes watching the city below. She had not spoken since the attackers left. Her posture was calm, but her blade still rested in her hand, ready. Finally, the man broke the silence. His voice was hoarse. "They'll come back, stronger." "Yes," she said softly. "And the council, they won't stop until we're both dead." "Yes," she repeated, her tone calm, almost cold. He rubbed his face, his breath shaky. "Then what chance do we have? I'm just a man. I don't have power or weapons or anything." She turned then, her silver gaze piercing him. "You have more than you know." A new fear. Her words unsettled him. "What do you mean?" She walked closer, kneeling so her eyes were level with his. "Do you think I chose you by chance? Do you think I picked the first human I saw?" "No." His chest tightened. "You told me I was nobody. That's why I was safe." A faint smile touched her lips. "That's what you believed. That's what I wanted you to believe. But the truth is different." The man's throat went dry. "Tell me." "The hidden truth." Her voice dropped to a whisper, each word heavy. "Humans are not what the council thinks. They believe you are weak, fragile, unimportant. But I know better. Long ago, before your species was forgotten, humans were feared. Your kind was unpredictable, yes, but also powerful. In ways even you do not understand." He shook his head. "That's impossible. I've lived my whole life as nothing. I'm no warrior. I'm not special." Her silver eyes glowed brighter, almost blinding. And yet you stood before the elders. You lied without training. You threw yourself into danger when others would have fled. You survived the circle that scans. The soul. Do you think that was luck? No, it was something inside you, something they cannot see, but I can. His heart pounded. Fear and disbelief tangled in his chest. So what are you saying? That I'm different? She leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm saying you are not pretending anymore. You are more than human. You were chosen because you are part of this war, whether you wish it or not. The choice tightens. The man's hands shook. He wanted to deny it, to laugh, to say she was wrong. But deep inside, something stirred. A memory of standing in the circle, feeling the beam scan his soul, and somehow not burning. He swallowed hard. And if I don't believe you? If I still walk away? Her expression hardened. Then they will kill you anyway. Because now you know too much. Because now, they fear you. Her words landed like chains. He realized there was no escape anymore. Walking away wasn't an option. Survival meant choosing a side. The knock of destiny. Before he could respond, another sound shattered the silence. A knock. Not heavy, not violent, like before. Soft, calm, almost polite. The man's blood ran cold. He looked at the door, then at her. Again? Her silver blade flared to life, glowing in her hand. She moved slowly toward the door, every muscle tense. Stay back, she whispered. The knock came again, steady, patient. Whoever it was, they weren't here to break in. They were waiting to be invited. She pressed her hand to the door, then pulled it open. The stranger on the other side stood a figure unlike the masked assassins. He wore no cloak, no mask. His face was human. The man gasped, his mind spinning. Another human. Here. In this alien city. But the stranger's eyes glowed faint red, not silver. His smile was calm. Almost too calm. Interesting, the stranger said, looking from her to him. So the rumors are true. A human standing beside her. The alien woman raised her blade. Who are you? The stranger tilted his head. Someone who knows the boy is not what he thinks he is. Someone who knows the council is right to fear him. The man's chest tightened. What do you mean? The stranger's smile widened. I mean you are not just her shield. You are the weapon. And soon you'll have to choose how to use yourself. Against us. Or against her. The final twist. The air grew heavy. The alien woman stepped protectively in front of the man, her blade glowing bright. But the man barely saw her. His mind was spinning with the stranger's words. Not a shield. A weapon. Could it be true? The stranger bowed slightly, his red eyes burning. I'll return when you are ready, and when you are, the universe will tremble at your choice. Then, as silently as he arrived, the stranger turned and disappeared into the shadows of the hallway. The door closed. Silence fell once again. The man sat frozen, his chest heaving, his thoughts burning like fire. The alien woman turned to him, her silver eyes softer now. You asked for truth, she whispered. Now you must live with it. The man stared at his trembling hands. For the first time he wondered, what if she was right? What if the stranger was right? And deep inside, one terrifying thought grew louder with every heartbeat. Maybe I am. Not pretending anymore. Maybe I'm becoming something else. The screen faded to black.